I've been high, I've been low. I done pictured, been whole. I done prayed and been prayed on.
So 43, the Richard Petty edition.
Richard Petty, 43.
Yeah. Who else is number 43? John Andretti. Because he drove the car after.
Yeah, when the numbers get higher, it gets more interesting. That's the I believe. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Mondesi.
I was gonna say Troy Polamalu.
Okay,
I think it's 43.
Maybe, I don't know. I'm not a Steelers fan. Raul Mondesi on the Yankees was number 43.
Was he?
I remember.
Yeah, I'm sure that there's other ones.
Yeah. Shout out to the Yankees. Let's go fucking win some games in LA.
I can't wait till our Aaron Judge episode.
Yeah, 99. Who's gonna be 100?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Just start naming them.
That's a milestone in itself.
100 years old.
Yeah.
So
that's a super duper milestone in itself.
If you're listening or watching, well, only if you're watching. It's not going to really apply if you're listening.
Yeah.
But it kind of does, because you should go back and listen to the last episode, because we're going to kind of pick up the conversation.
Mm-hmm.
It's the same day, so we're just recording episode 43 separate.
Mm-hmm.
Trying to keep things a little bit shorter.
Mm-hmm.
Keep you guys entertained.
Yeah, just kind of mixing up the format, which we're still going to have. I think the episode that comes out next week is going to be over an hour long. But we're just kind of mixing it up, seeing what works, seeing what doesn't.
Yeah, because what are we at right now? 39's out, and that was
40 will be this week.
Yeah, 40. We went for a while both weeks, the last 2 weeks. 40, I think we went an hour and a half. But it'll probably
may have been that one.
It'll probably be chopped down smaller. But
yeah.
But 41, I think we definitely went for an hour. I think it was like an hour and 4 minutes, right in our wheelhouse.
Let us know if you'd be interested in seeing that kind of content, because we do cut a lot of the stuff out. And some of it's really funny. Yeah. Some of it's just rambling. Some of it's whatever. But if you'd be interested in something like uncut episodes or whatever that might be, because we just kind of there's nothing fucked up in there. It's just it's just we don't want to keep you on the hook when we're talking about random stuff.
Yeah.
Always.
Leave a comment. Yield Podcast. If you want JP to just make a channel where he puts out all his Yield podcast skits.
Yeah, Ye Old Podcast. It's good. It's good.
Yeah.
But I couldn't do the Ye Old Podcast without you.
Yeah.
I couldn't. Yeah. We're recording this episode on a block of stone. He's engraving it into the stone as I talk.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
But I think that was a fun moment too, where I think recently we've got more into it, which is that we don't have to be defined as this serious mental health thing all the time.
Yeah.
That we can it would be impossible for you and I to sit down and
it wouldn't be authentic if we tried to force it every time. That's all we talked about.
And I also think that a lot of times with stuff like that brings out a certain part of me in the editing that allows me to get in touch with that creative side. That even if it's a serious clip, you can throw stuff in there, kind of just hold people's attention, and that is a funny way to relate.
Yeah.
And I think in the beginning I was really caught up in that all our clips need to look like Jay Shetty's or Joe Dispenza or whoever mentioned in the last episode. Go back.
Yeah. Rich Rolls.
Yeah,
I love the way that theirs are shot.
Yeah, man.
One day.
Dude, it's unbelievable, the way that some of their stuff looks.
Yeah, I like the way that he does his clips where it's the whole podcast is just on the top of the screen, and then the person that's talking is the whole screen, is the other segment. It's cut up into fourths.
Yeah, absolutely. And that's a kind of thing that it's you're not talking about having a producer. We're talking about having a borderline
production team. Yeah.
Crew, yeah. That is very much in sync and linked up. And I like to think that one day we'll be there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
By episode 673, you can check me. I think I got that right. You'll have an Emmy, so by then we should have
maybe a creative arts one. It won't be given to me on the TV, but they'll cut me out of the ceremony. But
maybe.
No, exactly.
We should have a crew by then, I would assume.
Yeah, I hope so.
I mean, if you're winning Emmys, we better have a fucking crew.
Yeah, absolutely. I don't think we'll have to ask for one at that point. But that's exciting to just think about what's in the future, and that it won't be there today, but we got one thing that leveled us up, and that only helps us kind of get closer to those goals.
Yep. And we were talking about on the last episode, which we'll talk more about in this one, is awareness. and knowing and being aware that we're taking the right steps to get to that point, you know. I think that's been a big shift for both of us, especially, I mean, you talked about wanting to go back into film in whatever capacity you end up going back into it, but this is an outlet for you, and you're becoming more aware that, like, if I take this seriously and I really work here, it's only going to benefit you in the long run when you start doing other things.
And that, like, the only option, or at least what I should say is that I don't think that the only option for me to get better at this is to, like, produce somebody else's podcast. I see it as a way for me to introduce people to, I can make something look like this. How do I translate that into narrative stuff or commercial stuff or whatever it might be?
Yeah.
And that's exciting for me, because for a while I wasn't excited about stuff like that.
Yeah. But you've realized that your dharma, and you're starting to align yourself with it.
And that also making that connection with it doesn't have to be like the ultimate answer. I think a lot of times people get obsessed with the fact that, like, if I want to be a director, I want to be a comedian, or I want to be an author, I want to be that's the only thing you can be. And it doesn't have to be black and white, that you can be a multi-hyphenate and be different things and be an expert in this, and then just be learning how to get better at this.
Yeah.
Other thing that, like, you maybe were passionate about that.
We talked in the last episode about books and stuff, and I'm reading, if you didn't watch the last one, Abundance by Deepak Chopra. Watch the last episode.
Yeah.
I don't like repeating myself. But he was talking about Joseph Campbell and
The hero's journey, old boy.
And following your bliss, yes. And one of the things that he said was, when you think about it, think about the life you ought to be living. And what does that mean? Because imagine that you are living the life you ought to be living, instead of that's not the life, that's the life I want to be living, you know? And I think that ties in to all of this recently.
Yeah, that, like, it kind of can't happen to you unless you see some form of it, or you follow that bliss of, like, damn, I forgot it was like when I showed somebody something that, because there's somewhere along the lines when I started, like, stopped making stuff, or maybe just became less proud of my work, where I was showing it to people less.
Yeah.
And it's not that you put the faith in somebody else needs to tell me that this is good for it to be good. It's more of, I forgot the joy that, like, I could show somebody that, like, this is what their food looks like, or this is what their brand looks like, or this is the story that you could tell by doing this, versus getting caught up in, is somebody going to tell me, is it good or bad?
Yeah. Just doing it for you.
Yeah. And I think that helps let go of, if I'm helping somebody out with shooting something, you take that pressure away, because I struggle with it all the time. It's just like, you're not Steven Spielberg. Not only are you just by yourself, you don't have a whole crew, but you're also, like, you haven't made all these movies and you haven't done all these things, and you're not going to find out. And for a long time, I thought that kind of wasn't true. But then you realize that, like, you could be making movies on your iPhone. People are doing it all the time. They're shooting the new 28 Days Later movie on an iPhone right now with a fucking huge cinema rig lens on it, whatever. But it's that, like, you can make things happen on your own, and that it doesn't have to be this thing that's, like, all or nothing. And I feel like I bring that up all the time in episodes, that it doesn't have to be this black and white thing where it's just like, oh, if I want to be a director, I don't need to spend 100% of my time focusing on that. But I just have something to go back into that's like, I know that if I'm lacking passion or creativity, remember why you're doing this. Not because you want fame or because you want to be successful even. It's more so that you want to get better, and you want to be able to, like, tell stories to an extent that it affects other people, which on a small scale, I think, is what we're doing right now.
I also think it's important for you to realize that, like, you might not be Steven Spielberg right now, but you also, like you said, he's made all those movies. Like, you have to show up and put in that work every day. Yeah. And, like, this is doing that. And it's having the awareness to be like, I might not be him right now, but I'm shooting content of some sort every single day. I'm working with the camera. I'm learning more about it, you know.
I'm not getting any less close by doing this.
Yeah, exactly. I think that's a big turnaround on how to view it, you know what I mean?
Yeah, and like I said, not getting kind of caught up in my journey needs to look like somebody else's. And I think that when you get around our age, like 32, you're 31, you start to be like, oh, well, this person had this by this point, or this person had accomplished that, whatever. And for every story like that, there's an equal amount of stories of people who found their passion when they were 50, 60, 70 years old. And there's really no rhyme or reason to when that happens to you, how you discover it. Things get sidetracked. Life happens. And I think I've always struggled with the fact that, like, oh, everybody's story is interesting and unique, but mine isn't. Because I know it so well. And I sit there and I analyze it over and over and over. And I think it's more tied into, like, knowing now that I can take action and make little steps that push me towards that. And then also be reminded of the fact that, like, I do know a lot. It may not look perfect, but, like, and I may be rusty or whatever it might be, but the stuff starts to come back. And it's like, use what you have to your advantage and then admit where you're kind of lacking or where you want to grow and try to learn stuff there and get better.
Yeah. And it's rewiring. It's a lot of rewiring self-doubt, you know, and just getting and pushing through that. But I think it helps to have a code that you have, like, that you're setting up for yourself, because it's important to, like, know, like, this is how I'm going to feel about this from now on, because to change an old, if you watch the video, that's crazy.
That motherfucker was up in my shit.
I think it's important, though, to change.
He might have stung me on my throat. Doesn't hurt, but not yet. Oh, he was after me. Sorry, let's reset there for a second.
I don't know where I was going.
You were talking about a code and building that trust in yourself.
Yeah, I think building and learning about yourself and, like, what you want and what you're trying to accomplish and reinforcing it. Because to break an old thought habit, you have to replace it with a new one. Yeah. Or you put in a protocol to accomplish that one. Like, hey, you have a thought process that's like, I'm not a good director. Well, if you go out and you start recording stuff every day, like, it lessens that, because you're putting a protocol. Well, you're having that reoccurring thought because you have no protocol in place to have a solution for it.
Yes.
You're looking at a problem with no solution. If you put the solution there, then you have no problem.
Yeah. And thinking about, not that you should always be dwelling on the future, but a lot of what you and I talked about when we started this was, what is this going to look like when we start to level up and do more things? And I even think that, like, I see the most growth in how we're able to have conversations versus anything else. But that, like, we have cameras, we have multiple angles, and that being able to look back on, like, I look forward to that day where we make that video where it's like, this is how it started, and this is how it's going now, years later. And that same mentality now applies to me, which is that, like, I can't have that growth and learn that without being able to look back and cringe a little bit at the stuff. Like, it's the same thing with comedy, directing. There will be a day down the road where I say, how did I make something that looked like this? Or how did I tell that joke that was that I don't like anymore? But that you're not growing unless, if you're looking at yourself 3 years ago and you're saying, oh, that's perfect, I shouldn't change that, then where are you growing? And it's a very easy thing to see when you're doing something like technical. To notice that. And I think that I'm embracing more of that, grasping onto that and saying that, like, this isn't perfect right now, and that's okay. And just down the road, like, I won't be able to have it be the way that I want it unless I put in the work now and learn little by little, and that overnight we're not going to look like, you know, name your favorite podcast, Rich Roll, whatever it is. Name your favorite podcast that is shot really well and looks incredible. We can't get there without being here.
Yeah. And I think doing this podcast also, just for me at least, it puts into perspective of, like, what I actually want to be doing. You know, like, I want to be doing something that's helping, that's of service. And I think it puts, for me, in place like the morals that I have. And I know it's another thing I've been struggling with lately, was with work, was with going back and forth between working at a bar and like, I know that next week's my last week ever doing that. And I'm okay with that. You know, like I don't want to sit behind, I don't care how good I was at bartending. Like I am not that person, and I don't want to sit there, and it does me nothing morally. It just makes me feel bad, you know, giving some, like making drinks or serving people something.
It's just not aligned with what you want to do, right?
It's
like,
not something I would put in my body. How am I supposed to sit here and endorse it, you know? So I think I found a creative outlet for that, and I'll work. That's what I'm working on now, and it'll be more aligned with what I want to do, helping people and giving people like that aren't like, you can go out and have that experience without having to be running on a lower vibration. You know, you can go out and have a good time with your friends at a place where you can have drinks that aren't bad for you. You know, it'll be the social environment that sober people don't often get. You know,
you talked about in the last episode how there's always something more to like give up, that like you can't get to the next thing without, and like a year and a half ago or however long ago it was where you gave that up has been building up to this, that it's like, it just doesn't work for me anymore. And like by any means, like I think you and I would be the first ones, like every single bartender, server, like sell the shit out of that alcohol, make your money. Like that's not, I think, what we're saying, but that it's like, I think that it allows to just like, it allows you to build a better life and find purpose somewhere that you don't have to leave behind when you hop behind the bar and start peddling poison. That's what like which some people may not like the way that we phrase it that way, but that is ultimately what it is. And we talked about this before the episode too, which is that like never ever is it a thing where it's like we're judging people for the alcohol, but it's just a matter of like, you kind of can't. I think that I'm at the point where I'm at right now, and you're at the point where you're at right now, which is that like, you can't come to terms with that relationship unless you call it what it is. And you don't kind of like label it as, this is what this thing exists as, this is how it functions in my life, and it affects me affects the way I sleep, it affects the way I take care of my body, it affects
just the decision making, the awareness,
my mindfulness.
That's the biggest thing for me right now. I care so much about just growing my awareness of like that. I wouldn't want to be serving somebody something that's going to lower theirs. You know what I mean? Like, so I can't do it anymore. And that's what it is.
And we kind of like talked about that journey of, you kind of can't decide. I mean, you can, but sometimes with things like this, when you're trying to figure stuff out and you're learning your purpose, like you don't get to decide. The universe will show you what you're kind of supposed to be doing. And like lately, I know you've felt really aligned with that. So it's like, when you tap into that, it's almost like I don't have any choice but to drop this and pursue that or do whatever. And it kind of doesn't matter the timing. I'm not saying like don't drop your financial situation and things like that, but like make responsible decisions, but also, you know, if it doesn't align with what you want to do, and maybe you're not able to make a big change like that, but you can start with small stuff.
I mean, I wouldn't have gotten to this point if it wasn't for the small steps that I've taken to really look inward and figure out what I want to be doing. And I still want to bartend. I'm just going to do it in my own way for myself and a healthier way for everybody else, because I still like curating that experience. That's my favorite part of bartending. It's always been. I like making the drinks and seeing the looks on people's faces when they taste it. And I like being the one. I like being the belle of the ball, bro. Not afraid to say it. And I've done very well for myself doing that. But it's time to make a shift and do it in a better way.
Yeah, and being open to that possibility that you can gain that feeling for yourself and give it to others in a different way that isn't how you've always accessed it.
Yeah. Like, I know what it was like when you stop drinking sometimes, like, nobody's going to stop with you. It's a decision you have to make for yourself. Like, unless you got a friend that's like making a pact with you, you know? So like, it makes it difficult to be in social environments sometimes. And I think that there's a lack of those social environments for people that don't drink to hang out in, where in the background, there's not the person having that low vibration conversation because they're drunk and doing whatever, you know? It's a safer and it's a more welcoming, higher vibrational environment. That's what I'm going to build, you know?
Yeah. And I think it's something that
this fucking guy,
this motherfucker is out for us.
You can't kill a bee on camera though. We'll go to jail.
No. We appreciate you. That's Jerry Seinfeld from the Bee Movie.
Oh man.
Yeah, and that and like that, I think aligns with a lot of what I'm trying to work with right now. Is that I think that I had this mindset in terms of pursuing creative career associated with the fact that it was like this competition thing, and that it had to be better than this one, and does your footage look better than this person's, and is your editing better than this, and that created a lot of the comparison I think that I've had a hard time dealing with, and that I still deal with now, because you have to have a shift from there's enough abundance in terms of creativity especially, that is like you can enjoy other people's things, their success, all sorts of stuff, be inspired by it, and not think that because you succeed, I can't, and that there's a limited amount of that. And that's how you get attached to the fact that, oh, if that person gets that job, that means that I'll never be successful. And that person can just be like it doesn't have to be a specific person. It can just be like the other, or us versus them kind of thing. Like, and that's definitely a thing that I want to create in terms of like, we can promote other people's podcasts and content and just message whatever it is. That's kind of what a podcast is all about, especially when you have a guest on.
I think we went away from that at the beginning. We definitely talked a lot about, like, for me personally, like what was helping me make the shift, and like the shift in consciousness, the shift in the way that I live my life. And then at some point we kind of went away from that. And like we would talk about it here and there, but it was we did get a little bit more personal, and sometimes we got very in depth. So like there's not really room for that. But I do think it's a big part of what we talked about last episode is taking in the content that's more aligned with the person that you want to be and where you're trying to see yourself. And I know for me, that's what I've been doing the last couple. Like that's what I'm working on right now, is making sure that, like, I noticed one of the things that I spend so much time doing, because Desiree brought it to my attention, is I'm on my phone. And like there's good on your phone and bad on your phone. And I knew that me being on my phone, scrolling on Instagram, was just taking my awareness from where it needed to be. And I've taken that back on my own, and I've placed my awareness into what I'm working on and not into scrolling on social media. You know what I mean? And that's just opened up a whole nother lane for me.
Well, there's also, I think, doing that mindful consumption of it, because like we said, like this podcast could be what it is without social media and us being on our phone and spending time on that. And sometimes you have to like cultivate that pause before you open the app or whatever it is. Like for instance, me, I've been scrolling a lot and trying to be inspired by content that I see on other people versus like, are you watching one of those dumb like, you know, brain rot, whatever, which like, trust me, sometimes I'm a big fan of that. And like, it comes from that, but there's a difference between, I'll call it 30 minutes of mindless scrolling versus a couple hours.
Yeah.
And there's a big, big difference in like, actually how I would describe it more so is that like, I think there's a big difference in terms of doing that and going about your day without realizing it. And I don't think, like I said, I don't think that you can get to the point of being like, I'm on my phone too much, if you realize at the hour point, oh, I've been scrolling, versus like, it takes you weeks or days or whatever it is, just being able to notice. It's kind of like the sooner that you can connect that moment of, I know I'm mindlessly scrolling and I need to stop. It kind of like gets to, or I need to figure out a way to deal with this, organize it, whatever.
Yeah. I think it was just shifting the awareness for me. My phone is in mindfulness mode all the time now. Like my lock, no notifications are coming through right now. And I'm okay with that. I've been spending like an hour on my phone tops a day. Mm-hmm. I'm picking it up a lot. Yeah. I notice. And I can look at it on the screen time, app. So it's good because then I can be even more aware of it. Mm-hmm. Like today is going to be very, very low other than the fact that it's recording, but like I'm not on it. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I think shifting that awareness off of something, there's ways to use the phone mindfully, like when we're editing clips or when we're listening back or I'm taking in a new podcast. And I think that's what's been the big difference is I've completely changed the content that I'm consuming. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Well, it's trying to find that balance of, because I struggle with it too, because I'm constantly, whatever I'm watching or consuming, in the back of my mind, I'm trying to learn something because in a way for me to consume it, somebody had to film that or create it in a way. And not everything has to be something that you're inspired by and learning from. You can watch your, some people love their reality television. Some people love, whatever it is, what wouldn't be considered to be like growth content. Yeah. And that's okay. But I think that what we're talking about is just being mindful of that because the more that you consume of that, like, is it 5% of your day or 10% of your day? Or is it more like, are you pushing those percentages up where you don't have room in your life for things? You know what I mean? If you can spend, like we talk about this all the time, if you can spend 4 hours watching your favorite TV show, you can damn sure spend 20 minutes in stillness meditating. Mm-hmm. And there's a balance in there somewhere. But, a lot of people say that they don't have the time for it. But I think consuming even something that isn't mindful, consuming it in a mindful way can bring some awareness to the space that you're in. Yeah.
We are continuing this episode and not cutting.
There won't be in there.
But we will. This will be in, and if you don't put this in, I'll be mad. JP fucked up. Yeah. So that's why this episode's only one angle, and we just realized it halfway through.
Yeah. These things happen. Yeah.
But it is what it is.
As we were just talking about learning.
Yeah. And neither one of us had a reaction to it, which is good because that's like the old us would have been like, oh,
now it's ruined. We got to throw it away or whatever.
Who cares? You guys are only going to get one angle. Yeah. We've put out 5 weeks in a row of multiple angles. You can deal with this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Sorry, that was a little brash.
You said that in the last episode too, where you're just like, we got to get better at these ads. So sorry, listener, we're going to try. So sorry, listen to this. But yeah, that's kind of like, I don't know, just like not taking so much offense to it. And it's just like, okay, well, that's the way it happened. I cannot go back and get that video back. I can't do it.
Yeah, we can't change
It's not going to happen. But such is life. It's weird that there's not multiple cameras now. I feel like I've gotten used to it.
I think the tripod thing is throwing me off, that there's no tripods around.
But yeah, close enough, yeah. It's just like the camera.
It feels like we started a different episode and we're supposed to be picking up where the camera just like paused.
Yeah. I mean, this is what it felt like in the beginning.
We'll fix it in
Yeah.
post.
You've been wanting to say that and have it make sense for so long.
Yeah. We'll fix it in post. Oh, man.
Yeah, but that is the awareness. And that is an example that we can point to and say that it's just like, I know that when we started doing this or whatever, I would be really upset with myself. Mm-hmm. And I would be beating myself up about the fact that not only did I fuck up the camera angle, but I also fucked up not my own, but yours. So now every good thing that you said in there, we won't have the clip angle, whatever.
This is perfect though, because you can work. Can work through this trauma. I'm not going to fire you.
Yeah.
It's okay, dude.
I'm not going to fire you, bro. Yeah. And but that I think is like, you can be happy with that small win of the old me would have lost my shit. But today I'm here, and it's like, I learned, I fucked up. Let's move on. Let's keep the conversation going. And also, like, let's use it as a way to connect with people. Because it's like, we all make mistakes. And you would think that by this point, I wouldn't forget to press record on one of the cameras.
But it happens.
But yeah. But that also, I think, is you can see the good in that, which is that it's like, that's me maybe, not that I want to do that again, but it's also like, maybe I am starting to shift to be just as focused on the content that we're bringing as I am to like the technical aspect.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I think it speaks to the development just on the fact that if we hadn't been doing this for so long, we wouldn't have been like, we need to up the quality. We wouldn't have got the camera. And then this would have been detrimental because we're missing a view and the middle angle is the worst quality camera we have.
Yeah.
So thank God we've been putting in the
So like, yeah, maybe we'll only have one angle, but a year ago, this would have been an audio only.
Yeah.
or maybe nothing.
Yeah.
Or maybe nothing. You know?
Especially because we recorded an episode already today. We would have been like, we don't need to.
I'm going to go check and make sure that it's recording right now.
Okay.
Because I know I hit it, but I'm going to feel better if I do it. Oh, yeah.
All right, we're good.
Thumbs up. We're doing okay. And it doesn't, like, I don't know, man. Like, sometimes I think I've had moments like this, and it's over time, but you have like these big moments where it's just like, I just don't want to be mad all the time. I don't want to be frustrated all the time. I don't want to be looking at, like, this conversation has been so good. This is the first time we're doing this with a camera. So much good has come out of this. And it's like, let's not focus on, you forgot to press one button. Like, yeah, exactly. And down the road, it's like, you know what? This could have happened on an episode with a guest. This could have, and there's ways to look at it that it's just like, it's not the end of the world. We survive and we move on.
Yeah. Well, I feel like this might be a better natural ending point because I do have nothing else to say. I'm realizing, but
But awareness is important, and the more that you can kind of just like differentiate what you're feeling and why you're doing this and where your time's going, it's not going to make your life any worse, and you can really put time into the things that matter to you.
Yeah, we're all here just to cultivate awareness.
Yeah, and that's like being aware in your body, in your like mentality, the way that you treat other people. Nobody's ever gotten to know themselves less by cultivating more awareness.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah.
Comment on this video. Not that I fucked up, but that
it's okay that you fucked up.
But that yeah.
Supportive.
If you've ever fucked up before, comment on this video that says it's okay that I fucked up.
Yep.
But also comment a way that you're cultivating awareness in your life.
Yeah.
Because we're always looking to learn from people who are on this journey as well.
And now we're going to do some shameless affiliate plugs. Should we just go down the list? We don't even have to talk about them, but find the good. You can get apparel.
Yeah.
JP's
all of the links are in our bio.
Yeah. We also have stickers. If you want a sticker, DM us. We'll send you one.
We've got Whoop. Yeah, for sure. Me and you rely upon that. It's a big part of our health journey for sure.
Yeah. Rachel just joined the Whoop group. Did you notice that?
Did she?
Yeah.
She got one?
Yeah.
Hell yeah.
Alex bought it though. No referral code. But
God damn.
It is what it is.
Yeah, no, exactly.
Yeah, no, I said that last night.
But also I'm happy just somebody like it's another
got another body in the group.
There's no way her HRV can be higher than his, right?
I don't think so.
It's fucking ridiculous. But shout out to him for being the sweep champion 2 weeks in a row.
Yeah.
All three, strain, recovery, and sleep, 2 weeks in a row.
If you get a Whoop and you want to join the group and see what we're talking about, use the affiliate code.
Yeah, use our affiliate code and we'll let you in.
What else? Online therapy. If your brain don't work, no good.
I just had my first therapy session back yesterday.
Oh, how'd that go?
It was great. It was very nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's good to be back.
When's she coming on the podcast?
Soon. I didn't talk to her about it yesterday, but
Okay.
That's definitely going to
We
be
do have
done.
another guest coming up, though, in November.
She agreed to do that a while ago.
Shout out to Will for the stickers.
Yeah.
So
My good pal. Yeah.
And
we're going to have an episode about fatherhood down the road.
Yeah.
Which is something I don't think we've really explored whatsoever. So that's exciting.
Something I'm thinking about. So shout out to Jake Panesi and Taylor Pisa. And our beautiful new addition to the family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. They definitely won't see this, but we can send them a snippet of be like, the baby's on the podcast.
The baby's on the podcast, yeah. We're going to Photoshop her photo in here.
Yeah. All right. Who thought we'd be here, episode 43?
Yeah.
Yeah.
One for the books.
One angle for the books.
This will never die.
All that glitters and gold. I had money, been broke. I've been high, I've been low. I done pimped it, been whole. I done prayed and been prayed on. I fell off and I stayed on. I've been played.